Hello and welcome to TelecomTV. We're in Phoenix in Arizona at the ETSI NFV meeting number 8. I'm Martyn Warwick and I'm pleased to be able to say I'm talking with Raquel, who is Distinguished Member of Technical Staff at Verizon. It's a very good sounding title, that, Raquel. Welcome. What does it mean?
It means I'm a technical person with some expertise.
That's very modest, but it obviously means something. It means, have you a lot of experience in this particular area? What's your involvement with NFV?
Well, I'm co-chair of Orchestration and Management Working Group, which was just closed at this meeting. Mm-hmm. So I've been co-chair since the beginning for 2 years, and my expertise has been built from talking to a lot of experts in the industry and managing the group and management and orchestration, which is one of the key features of NFV.
Sure. Now, you mentioned phase one. Let's put it in context. A couple of years ago or less, NFV was maybe a glint in an engineer's eye somewhere, but it didn't exist in reality. It's come from nowhere to burst upon the global scene. And it's changing networks forever. It is expected and accepted that it will in due course. We've now reached the end of phase one. At this very event, as you just mentioned, we're moving into phase two. Let's talk about phase one for the moment. What do you think was achieved during phase one, given this was the initial startup? Were your perceptions correct, and were your expectations met or even exceeded?
Well, this is a kind of personal journey as well, since I started part of chairing the working group. So at the beginning, we were all very enthusiastic. We didn't know what we could accomplish or not, but we hoped to have an impact in the industry, and I think we did, in particular in Management and Orchestration Working Group. Whether I exceeded, I think the achievements of the group had exceeded my expectations. We started from nothing. We didn't. It's difficult. People who are in standards, and normally you form or you join a well-established working group or well-established organization, you already have the culture, you already have how to work with each other. And here we were challenging not only that new technology, but also a new group. So we needed to create that kind of group culture and know how to work together. And all the team members did a great job, and we did. So we started from nothing, and very quickly in 14 months, which is the time that we contributed for technical content, it was what we could achieve in 14 months. It was great. With the presentation I gave at the plenary and the open plenary, we kind of count how many members the mailing list had. It was around 400. How many contributions we had? Like more than 2,000.
Wow.
And how many emails were sent per day? In the peak month of June, we had about 600 emails. So this shows the level of engagement of the entire community in this effort. And we have created, as the ISG level, kind of a reference, architectural reference. Everyone is using the same terminology. Everyone understands what the VNF manager, the VNF, the NFV orchestrator. So we have a common basis for the industry to talk about NFV. And this was a great achievement compared to what we had at the beginning. So I would say the achievements of the group exceeded my expectations.
Were there any disappointments? So that's very much on the upside. Were there any disappointments or particularly intractable problems that have perforce been carried forward into phase two that were experienced during phase one?
Obviously, I'd say there were not bad moments, but I would say that the group, both the Orchestration and Management Working Group and the ISG level, everyone worked very hard, and we successfully overcame all those problems. So I would say, yes, there were problems, but we overcame them, and we actually, there's nothing that I would say now we would have done better, in the sense that we addressed the matters or the issues when we had to, and we did.
Was there some robust discussion?
robust in terms of
Argumentation?
oh, that's always, this is standard.
Well, exactly.
Although we have informative work, I mean, this is standards. There's always there are two sides. People put a lot of effort and a lot of time into this. For many of us, it's kind of a baby, our own baby.
Yes.
And then that translates into the discussions, and also this is not just personal work. It's also we represent companies, we represent companies' interests, and not everyone has the same interests. So, yeah, there were a lot of discussions, agitated at many times, but again, I'm very proud of the entire MANO working group, which is the short name for Management and Orchestration. And we ended up being all friends and understanding, creating that atmosphere of understanding each other and have a very good dialogue.
Why, Raquel, is management and orchestration so very important in terms of NFV?
Because this is something that we had, it's new before, right? So we have, if we look at the world with the physical appliances and everything, we have the operation system supports that we're managing, all the performance of the applications, performance of the services, and managing the infrastructure. So everything was designed for having physical appliances and optimized for that. When we actually have virtualization and we want to run those VNFs, virtual network functions, on platforms that may be managed by another organization, then we need a lot of orchestration, much more orchestration than we had in traditional services. So it's what ties, the orchestration and management is what ties the infrastructure with the service layer and the VNF. Something that was done before at the OSS level, something that the IT world did very well in managing the virtualization environment, but what in the management and orchestration working group, what we did is tie those in creating a management architectural framework that marries the two, and this is what is really new in NFV. And it's kind of the engine that makes the whole thing happening, right? From you have VNF onboarding, VNF lifecycle management to instantiate, do scaling, all has to be orchestrated from the point of view of the requirements of the application, the deployment requirements, and the capacity and the resources you have in your infrastructure. So that is why it became so important in this part of the work.
Thank you. Now, we've dealt with phase one, and that is now over officially, and phase two officially has begun. It will be finalised and ratified here in Phoenix at this ETSI NFV meeting number 8. What are your hopes and expectations for that next phase?
So for the next phase, what I would like to see is the same level of collaboration that we had in phase one, to continue the enthusiasm that we had. We started phase one, and I think we finished phase one at peak, which is we continue with the enthusiasm that we had at the beginning, but we also have some very good achievements. And so now phase two is probably the hard part, which is try to keep that momentum, try to keep that excellence in terms of technical excellence, and try to work more on the impact that we're going to have in other SDOs and in other open source projects, and also in the deployment of this. So the transition from the specs that we have into the real world, let's say, that's a challenge. What challenging to say, not that it is impossible, is that it's something we need to do in this phase. And keeping that momentum and that enthusiasm is what we need to work on together with making sure that we continue the good work we started and make it to maybe the next phase 3 or something, which is like no one questions anymore what's the value of NFV, and we all understand how it all works, and we start fixing little things as opposed to kind of creating this big framework that we had the challenge at phase one.
Well, the ETSI NFV mandate has been extended by 2 years, so presumably if needs must, it can be extended again.
Well, that's not
who
up
knows?
to me. Yeah, who knows?
Exactly.
It's like the community will decide. We're just at the beginning of phase
Indeed.
2.
Well, I'd like to finish with by asking this. How important has your involvement in the ETSI ISG been, and what role do you hope and Verizon hope to play going forward?
So in the role I played in phase one as a co-chair of management and orchestration was more kind of leadership role for the group, trying to organize the work and trying to make sure we stayed on focus and we delivered work and things like that. In phase two, we're like to continue being engaged in this work and try to. The elections are the next meeting, so we'll see. So yes, certainly try to help the ETSI and NFV group to meet their goals, which we are currently setting at this meeting, and contribute to it to make sure that we deliver good work, and that will be my role.
So the next ETSI NFV meeting number 9 is in Prague, in the Czech Republic in February.
Right.
So we may see you there.
Yes.
In the snow.
Yeah, very nice. Prague is a beautiful city.
It is.
Yeah.
We'll look forward to being there. Until then, Raquel and Moreira, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.